Ready? Wonderful. Hopefully you are all ready to go on this little journey with me today. I'm gonna put that just in the background, just enough so we can hear the music and get inspired by the Egun song. So I prepare my speeches because otherwise I will go off subject and it will be too much for you guys. So today we will be learning about Eguns and how to set a very simple altar for ancestor veneration. As in the previous class, I am excerpting different passages from my elder, Awo Falokum Fatumbi. He's my baba and my teacher. And the book that we will be pulling the stuff from today is called Egun. And my personal philosophy is, if it's not broken, why fix it? He has amazing teachings in there, and that's what I follow, and that's what I choose to spread. So here we go. Last month we spoke about two things. Iwapuele, I hope you guys remember what that is, good character. And we also spoke about Atunwa, which I hope you guys remember, that is reincarnation. Those two things form the theological foundation of Ifa ancestor reverence. It is the ancestors who give us guidance in our quest to live in harmony with the earth, and it's the ancestors who give us guidance in the process of developing good character. These ideas are so fundamental to the Yoruba culture that whenever someone is asked a question, no personal opinion is given until there has been a quote from the wisdom of the ancestors in the form of a proverb and a segment of the Ifa oral scripture. So can you imagine if they are gathering, this is in Africa, okay, if they were gathering in their little home and you have the elders, the children, so everybody's sitting. So when there was a question that comes up, you will have the elder bring a passage from the books, the oral books, what has been passed on from generation to generation. And you are not you are not allowed, but it's not etiquette for you to give your opinion without being asked. And that's something that in my family, in my Ile, the Ile that I belong to, that's how we go about. And then personal, as I said, personal opinions have little or no value in Ifa, except as commentary on the ideas of those who have completed an earlier life cycle. Calling the name of your ancestors going back 7 generations means you will be able to identify your own previous reincarnation. Most children in traditional Yoruba have a naming ceremony called Esentaye, E-S-E-N-T-A-Y-E, Esentaye, within a week after their birth. And the reason is, the ritual includes divination used to identify the formal existence of the child and to identify if the child comes from the mother or the father's lineage. This identification gives the developing child solid information on the previous lesson learned. In this way, spiritual growth becomes an ongoing process that does not have to begin anew with each incarnation. I wish I had that when I was a kid. I wish I had that for my kids when they were babies. That way I would be able to understand their personal characters. According to Ifa, this benefits not only the individual, but also the entire community. if we are able to build on lessons learned in a previous life, we can move on to new lessons that will benefit both self and world. Within the eternal cycle of life, death, transformation, and rebirth, there is an expansion of consciousness. The expansion of consciousness is symbolized in Ifa by the snail shell, a spiral of circular forms gradually increasing in diameter. To support this ongoing quest for spiritual elevation, Ifa honors the spirit of Egun. Most books on Yoruba culture translate Egun to mean ancestor, which is only partially correct. Egun is more accurately defined as the collective consciousness of all those ancestors who are waiting for the opportunity to return to Earth. Egun as a spiritual phenomenon is bigger and more inclusive than any specific ancestor spirit. The Yoruba phrase for an individual ancestor would be Ara Orun. And how you spell it? A-R-A space O-R-U-N, meaning body or person living in the ancestral realm. Do you have all this available for them to see right now or no?
I told them that the handouts will be available in the playback because
okay.
we can't get it posted into the
all right.
for some reason.
All right, so you will have a copy of everything that I'm talking to you right now. It will be available later on. Myra will make sure that that's the case. In order to maintain connection with the collective spirit of the ancestors, most traditional Yoruba extended families designate at least one person every generation to be the medium for the family Egun. The mediums are called either Egungun or Ishegun. Egungun from the Elysian E-Ogun O-Ogun, meaning I am the medicine of the bones. That's a special title, I think, it's so amazing. Or Ishegun from the Elysian I Ashe Ogun, meaning I am the power of the bones, or I work the power of the bones. In both instances, bones are a symbolic reference to those spirits who have separated from their physical body and returned to the land of the ancestors, Orun. Now we are going to go, that's my little bit on the history of, okay, so I like to make you guys see how amazing it is. So now we are going to start with the process of how do you do it and the process and what you can say and so forth, okay? In traditional culture, everyone is believed to have the ability and the obligation to communicate with the ancestors on a daily basis. So you don't have to be initiated to speak to your own ancestors. And that's a blessing that we have. We can access them and have personal guidance. And we'll see as we go into the conversation. According to Ifa oral tradition, communication with your ancestors is a birthright and requires no special sanction. At times, this communication can simply involve remembering a revered ancestor and making use of the memory as a basis for making an important decision. So once you get that communication going, once you establish the relationship with your ancestors, it will be just like that. Sometimes you might be thinking, you might be having a little issue and you just, you can call their names, hey, Va, hey, Grandma, hey, and come and help me. This is a situation that, and you will see that, boom, ideas will come up. Sometimes you will be in dreams. Sometimes things will, just a phone call from somebody else. So many different ways that you will get this special relationship going with your ancestors.
I figured out how to give them the notes. So they all just got the notes in chat.
Awesome. We are on page 3, everybody. In many ways, ancestor communication is an extension of the training and wisdom we receive from our parents and grandparents. One thing that I see happening in our culture anymore, especially the Western culture, is that it's pretty much forgotten. So it's up to us, this new generation, us that are the spirit child, the spirit children, to bring that back on. It's our responsibility for us and the children that are coming after us. How many of us know the names of our ancestors 7 generations back? I'm still learning, I'm trying, I'm digging for it. My ancestry is in Brazil, and a lot of the people that came from Brazil from other countries, the system was so broken, they didn't write down, or if they did, it burned down when the buildings burned down, and there's no history. So how important would be if we kept that going? So I say it's up to us right now to start for our children, grandchildren, and the ones to come. Wouldn't it be amazing if your 7 generations in the future, they would remember your name and they would recite your own name? Wouldn't that be amazing? I just went off topic right now. So, where did I stop? In many ways, ancestor communication is an extension of the training and wisdom we receive from our parents and grandparents. In Yoruba culture, it is common for the uninitiated to make direct contact with their ancestor spirits. The most prevalent method of communication is through dreams. Information also comes through participation in annual ancestor festivals. We don't have that here in the side of the world, in the side of the pond. Because such festivals are not common in this country, if our worshipers in the diaspora, that's why we are called on this side, diaspora, okay, have created several viable alternatives. Through the Caribbean islands, the various expressions of carnival celebrations are retentions of the African forms of communal ancestor reverence. Hey, I'm gonna say something. Brazilian carnival is not like that anymore. It's totally, it's not, has nothing to do with ancestral. Sometimes the schools make their floats and everything else to talk about, but you know, carnival anymore, it's party time. It is also common to build a small ancestral shrine within the home to be used as a focal point for prayer and meditation. There is a number of traditional Yoruba methods for building ancestor shrines, some of which are very complex and require direct personal training. We are not going to go into those right now. It would have to be something, if that's something you pursue it in the future, we can talk about it. For those who do not have access to lineage elders, I recommend the ancestor shrine be constructed with minimal elements. Once the basic elements are in place, the ancestor can be consulted directly for guidance on further additions or modifications to the shrine. And you will see, sometimes you'll be sitting in front of your shrine, you know, doing your prayers and asking your questions and just talking to them, remembering them, and boom, ideas will come up to you. And then you do it and you will see that it becomes even more intensified. Once the shrine is built and once you establish a link with the ancestors, they will communicate to you directly, either through divination, visions, or altered states of consciousness. When the altar is finished, it should stay as clean as possible. Ifa teaches that dirt, clutter, and disorder can attract unwanted and undesirable spirit forces. Remember that. No dirt, no clutter, no disorder. This may seem simplistic, but it is of a particularly important consideration. Our external environment reflects our internal state of being and either supports or blocks the process of growth. Find a place in your home or apartment that can be used for prayer and meditation. Clean the area so that it's free from dust. And you will see that no matter which part of this world, we all have the same basic ways of worshiping our ancestor and our deities. For example, in Native American tradition, sacred space is cleaned with smoke. And I'm sure in paganism is the same, correct? It is common practice in Native American and pagan traditions to place leaves in either a large seashell or clay pot. I'm not going to touch that because I just put the charcoal in there. Oh my goodness, that would not be good. So I have this little one that I bought, okay, and that's what I use. It's a sign. That's it. That's his job. Okay, it's my incense burner, and what I can do is I can hold. I'm sure you all have seen it. You've been in this, in this kind of environment, in this kind of spiritual path. So we all have. This is ours, my husband and I, and we can go through the house just like the priest in the Catholic Church, shaking it around, right? So, yep, I'm going to do in a little bit. I'm going to do how we would do it. Any aromatic leaves or incense is effective. Sometimes I like sage. Smells amazing, and it's amazing environment cleanser. Cedar, sage are very popular choices. Or you can buy the incenses. I'm sure over here at the store there's a gigantic supply. So what we do is, okay, I already have my little charcoal burning because that sometimes can take a little bit of time. And then I am not going to walk through the whole place because you guys cannot follow me, but normally what you do is you light the charcoal and then you walk through the entire house, not just the area that you're going to set for worshiping, okay? But go through the entire house and, remove negativity. And the way I like to do is I smoke the house up really good, and then I open all my doors and windows. So if there's any energy that doesn't like that smell or what I'm doing, they are going to run out. As you fan the smoke, say a prayer asking that all negative influences be removed from your home. The container selected for this purpose should be kept near the ancestor shrine and only used for spiritual purposes, just like I told you a little bit ago. A Yoruba prayer may be used to bless the leaves used to create the smoke. And you can use any prayer you would like. Okay, I don't know if you already have one that you use normally, but we are going to give you a sample of a simple Yoruba prayer that you can say. And it has the Yoruba, and right next to it, it has the translation. So you see what you are asking for. Because to me, that's important, okay? And that's why I love my Baba, because that's how he is. He just doesn't give me the stuff in Yoruba and I don't know what I'm saying. It's always with the translation. This prayer is a dispelling invocation, and you may add the kinds of negativity you want removed from the sacred place. So I'm gonna stop the music for now because I'm gonna be singing myself. There. So remember last week when we spoke and, oh no, last week, I keep saying last week, last month on our past classes, we like to sing and we like to say our prayers singing because that, you know, it's almost like not just for us, but also for the energies that we are trying to work with. It grabs their attention. So, and you can make your own melody, or you can copy a song that you like, a melody that you like, and you can include those words and make it, you know, make it your own stuff. So this is how we are going to do it, okay? I'm going to put my leaves in here. And before I start going through the house, I say my prayer to bless this herb, all right? And you guys have it right there, it's on page 5. It goes, Iba Egun, Mia Fakoki, Omo, Marileia Rose, Erni João Rose. Ibaxê, Oriewe, Ibaxê, Oriewe, Kosiku, Kosiarum, Kosiwahala, Asheto. And then now you can go to the house and, you know, and when you are doing this, you're supposed to speak into the leaves. And when you are done, you breathe into the leaves. Well, I breathe into the leaves while I'm singing. And then you say toe. And the word toe, pronounce it like your toe, means enough. And it's used to indicate that the prayer is completed. And when you speak into the herbs, it's called putting your own ashe, your own energy, your own power into the herbs. So it's very important when you are walking through the house or through your apartment or your place and fanning that smoke, okay? Keep your conscious thoughts in the good place with the intention of cleansing the area, because the smoke will magnify whatever thoughts you are having at the moment. So if you're thinking about, oh man, I don't like that person, you know, if you're thinking negative person, oh, my week was horrible, oh, my job, oh, whatever you're talking about, that is going to intensify, okay? So it's always good when you're doing this, you put in your mind, cleansing my place, removing negativity, you know? That's your intent.
So don't scold the kids while you're doing it.
Exactly. Let the kids do what they want, because they might be ancestors in the, you know, talking to the babies right now, bringing good energy. Traditionally, smoke has the effect of clearing away all spiritual influences from a room, both positive and negative. When starting the practice of regular communication with the ancestors, it is helpful to begin with a neutral environment so that you consciously invite specific ancestors to the shrine and know who is making their presence known. Ifa teaches that emotions have substance and that emotional energy lingers in a room long after it has been discharged. This is specifically especially, I'm sorry about that, especially true of intense emotions like anger, hate, disappointment, and jealousy. We don't want those when you're cleaning your space. If these emotions build up around an ancestor shrine for a prolonged period, they can have the effect of invoking ancestors who indulged in those kinds of negative emotions. And you really don't want those people or those energies around you. For this reason, periodic cleansing with smoke after the initial cleansing should be part of the ancestral reverence discipline. Okay, when I first got into this, the African spiritualism, I was, my first exposure was with Santeria and Lukumi. And with them, they also like to practice spiritismo on the side. So with the spiritismo, it's, you know, it is like that. You do cleansing every time. Every time you start your ancestor communication, you do the space cleansing, all right?
What page are you on?
Page 6. After the space is cleansed with the smoke, use the same process to cleanse your physical body. Because sometimes we have some energies that are attached to us and they like to cause commotion sometimes, right? Start with the front of the body, moving the smoke from your feet to the top of your head and down your back. Each pass should be in the same direction. Do not move the smoke from front to back, then from back to front, because this would be returning the influences to the place where they were removed from. So that's very important to think, okay? So if you're going from your feet up to the back, sometimes what we do is, if I am not going, you know, I just get and do the smoke from my head to my feet to remove, okay? If I cannot, because I'm not that, yeah, I'm not a gymnast. So where did I stop? Okay. In Ifa, once an area has been cleansed, it is traditional to seal the space with water and herbs. Ifa makes use of a wide range of herbs for the purpose of locking in the positive effect of prayer and invocation. The simplest seal for the uninitiated is clear water. See, I'm prepared. Clear water that can either be mixed with Egun or cascaria. And I'm going to show you guys what those look like. Cascaria is the most common around here because Egun is very difficult to find. I have my little stash. So this is Egun right here, and it comes from Africa. This is cascaria, and it's made everywhere. Okay. So Egun is a white chalk made from fossilized seashells. Cascaria is an Egun substitute made from eggshells, white eggshells. And you can make it yourself. And I think Myra has a class coming up on that. If these materials are not available, it is traditional to add either perfume or cologne to the water. Okay, in Spiritismo, we like to use this right here. Agua Florida, this has multiple uses, okay? So I always like to use, and it smells pretty good. Yeah, I like the smell of it. And it has multiple uses. I'm just going to say a little trick. I don't know if you guys know about it, but for example, just side note, if you feel that there's a lot of negative energy in front of your house, you can go in front of your house at midnight with this right here in your hand, draw a cross in front of it and light it on fire, all right? That's how That's how do you call it? When it catches on fire fast.
Oh, it's got a high alcohol content on
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So
It's
you can do,
flammable.
yeah, flammable. There you go. That's the word. So I like to always, in whatever perfume cologne you decide to use the first time, keep it the same routine. Don't change it. You can add to it, but don't change it, because then it's just like when you're creating a connection, you're changing things. So it's always good to keep the same things. You can add as you are being inspired. So I like to put a little bit of Florida water in my water, a little bit more. And I'm going to use Egun because I got that. So I like to just dissolve a little bit of Egun in the water. And then I like to put, I always have my little stash as an Eshu priestess, an Eshu daughter. I always have my 21 herbs with me. So I like to put just a little pinch. And because my ancestors were all Catholics, Lutherans, I have some blessed water. And then I like to mix. Okay.
You want to hold the bowl up so that way they can see what it kind of looks like, because there you go.
Okay, so there it is. All right. When you are making this for yourself, this part might be a little bit gross, but it's important. In addition, add a small amount of body fluid to the water if you're making it for yourself and your table. Sometimes you get together with people and you do a what they call seance, or one of those things. You're not going to put your own personal fluids in the water. We got to think about that one. If that's the case, everybody should put a little bit of their fluid in the water, and I'm not crazy about that.
What's acceptable as a bodily fluid?
Well, bodily fluid is saliva or urine. Okay. I sometimes use urine again when sometimes you feel like your home is supercharged or your business is supercharged. What I like to do is, maybe I shouldn't be. Okay, I started, I'm going to finish it. Okay, you mix water first thing in the morning, your first urine in the morning, and ammonia. You mix it up. It smells amazing. And then you can use that to wash the front of your home or your business to remove negativity. Or if you feel somebody is sending stuff your way that you don't want, send it back to them. You can use that to protect your home. Okay. So why do we use saliva or urine? By doing this, you're placing your own essences in the seal. Okay. And this becomes a statement to the spirit realm that they are entering our shrine, and indicates they need your invitation to enter. So one thing that I like to do is, because I don't use the Egun for that because that's very hard to find, but I get my cascarilla at the doors. All right. At the doors, I like to put a line through it when I'm doing, as sealing also the space after I cleansed. All right, not before you cleanse, after it cleansed. That way it's a line that only the spirits that you allow in are going to come in. A traditional Ifa prayer may be used to enhance the power of the water to function as a seal. This is an enhancement prayer, so you may add any of the things you want to manifest as a result of ancestral intervention. So here we go again with my singing. Okay, and you can read the words in English on the side. Ibashe o mitutu mi anifa fakoki o mi omo. You say your parents' name, sisters' names. Fumi re alafia, ire lera, ire omo, ire owo, ire agboato, ire iwapuele, ire igbodu egun, ire lona ipon riati worum. Asheto. So now the water is blessed. The prayer should be spoken directly into the water. And then once you've done that, you sprinkle, through the house, same areas where you went and you cleansed, you sprinkle with the water. Conscious attentions again should be placed on the matter of claiming the area as a sacred place. That's what should be in your mind when you're doing this. Now we are going to the construction of the ancestor shrine because you cleansed and you sealed, okay? The shrine is a place to remember. It is a memorial for those who have gone before us. It is a place to consider the wisdom of our lineage and to ponder the ways in which that wisdom can inform and guide us through current problems. In the beginning, keep it simple. Okay, the water that you use to cleanse, you can cleanse the house every time that you're going to do the ancestor veneration. You do the water. I like to do it because I like to seal the space. It's never too much. Okay, so, and that's good for cleansing yourself with it also, or sealing yourself after you use the smoke. Sometimes when you're doing spiritismo, what they do is they have a big bowl like this with water, and the high priestess is the one that prepares it, and everybody that's part of the ceremony, they go there before the misa, and they cleanse themselves with it to cleanse of any negativity. Okay, that's how they do it. And then at the end, they cleanse themselves again to be done with the energy of the misa. But so you can always keep it on near your table. Sometimes they put it on the ground. I'm going to put it on the side right there. Okay. So in the beginning, see, what did I say in the beginning?
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. All right. So keep it simple, just the basics. And like I told you before, you are going to be inspired. You can add things to your table, whatever that may be. Don't second guess yourself. And you don't need to ask for permission for anybody, no high priestess or anybody, to, when you're talking to your own ancestors, they are going to guide you on what you need to have on your table, okay? Place a box if you don't have a table, or a table in the spot selected as the shrine. Cover the table with a white cloth. Place a glass of water on the table and make that glass of water your ancestor glass of water. And then a candle. Okay. At this point, you have the basics for your ancestor shrine. Because you have the basic elements that create human beings. You have earth, air, fire, and water. Use the walls behind the shrine to mount pictures of your relatives if you have them. This is the place to remember. Simply seeing a picture of a revered ancestor might remind us of the way they may have handled a particular crisis. Or you can have, like what I did is I had a vision one day of when I was saying my prayers, of all the ancestors up in Orun in heaven, and they were looking down at the edge. So what I did is I made a small picture for all my ancestors and my husband's ancestors that represents them. And they are sitting behind my altar. Remembering can lead to inspiration, and inspiration can lead to determination, and determination can lead to resolution. Pictures of your ancestors can serve as a subliminal reminder of their the contribution they have made. Many of us come from mixed ancestry. Within the spectrum of our lineage, there might be a wide range of religious and spiritual influences. For example, I just found out maybe a few years ago through DNA.com. They should pay me a royal, some fees right now because I'm advertising. I found out that, and this is a surprise because we were always taught that we were German descent. So I found out that I am 48% English. I am 15% German. I am Irish. I am French. I am Russian. I am African. I am South American, Native American Indians, and Central American, Native American Indians. Talk about a fruit salad.
Me too.
So you can, the ones that you feel more attracted to, those are the ones that you can start with, okay? So I have everything. You are all my brothers, or actually my cousins, all right? All cousins of mine. These influences on the table might be, you can put a Bible because some of your ancestors, that's what they used. Might be the Quran, it might be the Buddhist sutras, it might be a copy of the I Ching or whatever they have, used in their time. Anything you put on the table is going to be an extra way of making connections with them. In Ifa worldview, there is an understanding of the universal nature of the spiritual principles that have been expressed time and again in a variety of cultural expressions. To be able to create the connection with your ancestors, you need things that were familiar to them at the table. So that's why I'm saying you can use the Yoruba prayers because they are beautiful, I think, but you can also use your own prayers on the language of your ancestors. So most of my ancestors spoke Portuguese because that's where they migrated to. So at my table, I have to speak in Portuguese. And if I want to reach out the way beyond, then I play some whatever music that might be from their background. To use the shrine, stand in front of your table or sit in front of your table and light the candle. Do we want to call ancestors right now? Not really. So I'm not going to light my candle, but you light a candle, okay? The first statement that should be made to the ancestors is a commitment to regular use of the shrine for meditation and prayer. It does not matter how often you do it, but what it matters is that when you promise that you're going to do it, you do it. So you can set, because we have busy lives, so you can set one day of the week, certain time. That's the day and time that you're going to sit in front of your shrine and you're going to say your prayers to them and remember them. But once you make that commitment on the first time, when you set the altar, you better keep your word. So it does not matter how often you agree to make the use of the shrine. The important is that you live up to your agreement to make use of it on a regular basis. You are establishing a connection with the ancestors and telling them you will be available for communication. And as you keep your promise, you will notice the enhancement of your connection. The white cloth, candle, water, and pictures can be thought as an electron, right? That's how you say electron magnet that draws spirit to the shrine. The current that drives the magnet are the prayers directed towards the white table. If you only turn to your shrine in moments of crisis, the current will be weak. If you charge the batteries on a regular basis, the spiritual connection will remain dynamic and accessible. Not everyone involved in Ifa worship has ancestors who are familiar with traditional Yoruba invocations. This means that there is no correct way to call the ancestors of your lineage. There are only effective and ineffective methods of communication. We can use the traditional Yoruba style of invocation as a guideline to discover what works for our personal ancestors. The invocations for the ancestors are traditionally followed by a recitation of the ancestral lineage of the person who is saying the invocation. So if you know the history from your ancestors, okay, if you know what they did, what they accomplished, at this time is when you start calling their names and saying their accomplishments of what they've done on this life, because that's going to wake them up there. So it says, you start by saying Ibashe and followed by the name of the ancestor. It is appropriate to recite the family history. That's what I was saying. But because many of us have limited information on family history, it has become traditional in the diaspora to recite the ways in which you imagine your ancestors may have crossed over as a way of remembering the unknown ancestors. While reciting invocations to the ancestors, it is traditional to pour libation. The libation may be either water or some sort of alcohol. In Africa, it's common to pour alcohol into the cap of the bottle, then use a finger, just a finger, to dribble small amounts on the floor. The diaspora, it is common to take a drink. You don't swallow, you just put the alcohol, the drink in your mouth, and then you blow it, okay, over the area. There is no correct way, only personal preference, I'm sorry. There are two reasons for calling the ancestors. The first is to invite them to be present at the ancestor shrine, and the second is to preserve their memory. Remember, I want my grandchildren and the future generations to remember me 7 generations down in the future. So I'm gonna try to teach my kids that that's what needs to be done. Important to know that every family has their share of uninspiring ancestors. We sure do. If you know a particular ancestor suffered from substance abuse or extremely destructive behavior, their names do not need to be included in the invocation process. The ancestors we invoke will influence our behavior. We do not need the influence of child molesters, drug dealers, or sociopathic criminals. Most of us have some ancestors who would not be welcome at the altar because of lack of character development. It is necessary to exclude these ancestors and to make it clear no communication with them is desired. It is important to exclude ancestors who suffered from addictive behavior and those who exhibited violent or sexually abusive behavior. The presence of these kinds of ancestor spirits can unconsciously trigger similar influences. They are identified in Ifa as spirits who carry a family curse. We don't want them on our table. If you know of one and they come to you in dreams, there's ways in the future we can explore how to do elevation of the spirit.
So there's a question about that. Is this something that you will teach later about healing backwards to your
Yes.
ancestors? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
It's very, it's intense, and you have to be prepared for that, because sometimes, you know, by trying to elevate them, they might bring their influence around you at that time. So you need to be careful on how you do it.
But yeah, there is a process in
Yes.
Ifa that heals
Yes.
ancestral wounds.
Yes.
Yep, excellent.
In some instances, there are those who do not know their ancestors. Do not let this hinder the process. Okay, simply identify the types of problems you will not allow within your altar space, and identify the types of spirits who are welcome. The prayer may include the names of those ancestors who are welcome to communicate at the shrine. In time, as your communication with spirit develops, you will be able to use the skills to begin the process of identifying unknown ancestors. Following the recitation of known ancestors, it is traditional to list the unknown ancestors by praising the ways in which you imagine some of them may have crossed over. And I have examples right here. Ibashe, all those who passed in the middle crossing, which a lot of us have ancestors that did that. Ibashe, all those who died at childbirth. Ibashe, all those who die in war. Ibashe, all those who died of illness, and so forth. Use your imagination. At this point in the invocation process, it is traditional to include a song. You can sing hymns from, if your ancestors were Catholic, a Catholic song, you know, a Lutheran song, whatever, a song that they liked to hear, if you know. So you can sing, or something that you may feel comfortable with. You might have now, with the amazing technology that we have, if your ancestors are of African descent, Spanish descent, European descent, you can go on our awesome YouTube and bring the songs. So the songs may be traditional Yoruba ancestor songs, or they may be religious songs familiar to your ancestors, such as hymns, spiritual singing portions of the Quran, or singing portions of the Torah. When I try to access my ancestors that are English or even German, I play German music that I find on YouTube that I like.
Does it have to be spiritual music?
No.
If they were not spiritual?
Personally, you know what? It depends on you. Like I said, there's no wrong or right way to do it. It's just what feels good for you. Okay? For me, no. I play whatever music I like. There is a traditional Yoruba ancestor dance step, and it's very simple. And you can use that also when you are talking to your table. And it involves turning the right foot to the right and then moving the left heel towards your right inner of your foot on the right side. One of these days, maybe we can do a little get together and do some.
We could totally do that.
Yeah.
We could totally film that.
Yeah. When dancing for the ancestors, the legs never cross. And that's another thing. When you're sitting in front of your table, Do not cross your legs, do not cross your arm, do not cross your fingers.
Why is that?
You got me, man. I just know that that's something they say you do not cross.
Don't cross.
The body is generally tilted forward and the arms swing freely. Okay. So here there's a little simple Yoruba. It's very simple words actually. So you're calling Ibashe, Ibashe o, Ibayeye, which is mother, Ibababa, which is father, Ibashe o, Emi Fakoki, Funiremi, Funiremi, Funiremi. And you can do your dance in front of your table, okay? Asking for blessings. And then you can say your what you want in English, Portuguese, Spanish, whatever your preference, your birth language may be. Dance movement in Ifa are similar in purpose to postures used in yoga. The dance step is designed to make the person receptive to the ashe, the energy, the power that is being invoked. Developing the ability to communicate with the ancestors will generate new information and a new understanding of their accomplishments. Information generated by the ancestors can and should be incorporated. Once the invocation process is completed, it is traditional to leave an offering. Normally what we do is whatever we cooked for the day, we try to cook something that the ancestors, we think that they ate when they were alive, and we make that as an offering and we leave it at the table. This can be placed on the altar or on the floor in front of the altar. At this point in the ritual, you are ready to speak to your ancestors. The first words might be to ask for their blessings, just like if you were going asking for your grandma, hey grandma, blessings. In Yoruba, you could say Ire mo, Ire wo, Ire aboato, meaning good fortune to my children, good fortune of abundance. We always want to have abundance. And good fortune of a long, healthy life. Talking to the ancestor is more effective if you ask a single question and sit quietly waiting for an answer. Sometimes you might not get the answer right there on the spot, but they will come. It is not necessary to experience strange phenomena or even go into an altered state of consciousness or getting possessed to communicate with the ancestors, even though these things sometimes happen. Some people are natural mediums and they have the capability of incorporate spirits. I've seen some, but some people do not. So each person is different. And the thing is, if you're going to incorporate ancestors, you better have somebody there with you to be able to get them out, you know? It is not necessary, okay, I already read that. When you have a problem and you present it to the ancestors and ask for their assistance, the solution may come in many forms. The simplest form of communication with the ancestor is remembering how a particular ancestor may have resolved a particular problem. So if you're asking a question and all of a sudden that ancestor pops up in your mind and you start thinking about how they were, and you know, that might be an answer to you. After the problem has been presented to the shrine, the answer may come after the problem has been presented to the shrine, the answer may come from the ancestors in unexpected ways in the course of the days that follow. It might not be even that day. If you ask the ancestors to help you find a job and you get a phone call from a friend the next day offering you a job, guess what? It's not coincidence. It is a message from the ancestors, an answer to your prayer. The ancestors may communicate to you in dreams. That's where I get most of my communication. The interpretation of the dreams is not difficult, people. You don't need to call other people to ask for what they think your dream meant. They mean what you think they mean. Trust your instincts. Once the request has been spoken, the answer will come. It is up to us to be vigilant, and so we can recognize the answer in whatever form it takes. For dream answers, it is a good habit, and I do that. Have a notebook near your bed. I have a drawer that I keep my notebook and a pen. And when I wake up, that's the first thing I do. I write, or I get my phone and I record it. Because if you don't do that, by the time you get up and you start getting busy, you forget, you know? So it's always good when you have a dream that you write it down so you can remember it. And I hope you all have amazing dreams. When you are finished with the ritual, cleanse yourself with the same water by taking a few drops and covering your body from head to foot. Ta-da! The movement of your hands affects the cleansing, so it is not necessary to immerse yourself in the water. Just, just a little sprinkles. When the cleansing is completed, end the ritual by saying, Ibashe ori Egun, 3 times. Ibashe ori Egun, Ibashe ori Egun, Ibashe ori Egun. And then you finish by saying, Ashe to, because that is the end. Like I said, the phrase is repeated 3 times because the number 3 symbolizes the mystery of that which is hidden. It is common for Ifa prayers to repeat certain sections 3 times as a symbolic acknowledgement of the mystery within the ceremony. When the closing prayer is finished, extinguish the flame on the candle by snuffing it with your fingers or by using a candle snuffer. Don't blow it. The flame with your mouth. Breath on the altar can pull the ancestors back towards the shrine. And this is the opposite effect of what you are trying to accomplish. When you are fully grounded, throw the water outside someplace away from your front door. You want to throw it where no one is likely to walk through until it's completely evaporated and the energy from the spiritual ritual has been grounded. I usually keep my vessel of water on my altar at all times, because sometimes throughout the day, sometimes in the morning, I just go and put a little votive candle and I light it up and I say good morning to everybody. So and then one thing that I like to, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but sometimes when you are in your altar, you will see lots of little bubbles on the water. To me, that's a good sign. The spirits are there and they are listening. So I like to keep an eye on my glass of water.
How frequently would you recommend changing the water on your altar if you do that?
I change it every day, most of the time. Sometimes a couple of days, okay? And you will see, sometimes you see the water, all of a sudden there's little bugs or whatever. You want that to be a clear glass of water. And that's the end of our little ceremony, okay? So there are books available, like I said, many books available out there in ancestor veneration. As I mentioned before, I like to use the books by my Baba, Avô Falou com Fatumbi, because I like the way he explains everything and the way it's so simple to understand. And like I said, most of the prayers have translation. Sometimes you don't get that. And one more thing I would like to disclose to everyone. Okay, this is not an initiatory course, by no means. It's just giving you guys knowledge about this amazing tradition. I am not trying to appropriate African culture. I venerate African culture. I love it. It's in my heart, in my mind, and in my soul. I got touched. So let me. Okay. So there are many books out there. You can purchase any one you want. And I will keep on coming here to explain and teach you as much as I can. Like I said, if there's questions that you have, you can always place it online. I will find out about why we don't cross our legs and arms. I think it's because we don't want to cross ourselves at the same time, but I'll find out the proper answer.
Block energy flow.
Exactly. Yes.
Some folks say.
Yeah. I thank the management at Heart Wisdom for giving me the opportunity. I thank the Olodumare, the Orishas, my ancestors, for, allowing me to get exposed to this tradition. And I hope to see you guys again in a month. On the next class, we are going to be talking about the warriors, right?
Yes.
We are going to be talking about Eshu, my bad, Ogun, Ochosi. Those are the warriors. So we are going to be talking about them and giving you some ideas on, how to work with a little bit with those energies, because they are amazing.
You ready for some questions?
I am.
So then they can unmute or put in the chat. If you have questions, you can unmute.
Oh, if you have questions, sorry about that. If you have questions, please unmute yourself and ask, or you can write it on the chat. I brought one of the books also over here. This one right here has all kinds of different prayers. This is from my Yanifa. She is like I said, my mama in the religion. Baba Ofalukum is my daddy, and she is my mama. They are my teachers. Okay, so she has a book also, and it's called Universal Prayers for Progressive Spiritualism. And what you have in here is, if you don't want to say the Catholic prayers, or there's all kinds of different prayers in here, including those. Okay, for example, prayer for the mediums when you're starting the ceremony, prayer for a child, prayer for afflicted, prayer for the healing the sick. So there's all kinds of things that you can, when you start creating your relationship on the table, there's all kinds of things you can do, all kinds of prayers. Yes.
Can you hold it up so they can see it? We'll insert something in the playback. Okay, you got a question.
Okay.
Are there books with translation to Spanish that you could recommend?
There are. There is I didn't bring it. There's an Allan Kardec book out there, Spiritualism, that is, you have the English version and the Spanish version. You can go online and Google, spiritualism, or Espiritismo, that's what they would call it. And some books may come up. I don't know if eventually in the future we might have some over here in the store for sale.
we're working on it.
Yeah, the store is working on bringing some of those books to the store.
Here's a question from Cami. My grandparents both died this week.
Oh man,
On
I'm sorry about that.
On Thursday, I was trying to sleep and I heard bare footsteps inside my house. And yesterday, they were buried. Any advice? Maybe they're trying to visit.
You can light. You know, if you're going to, if you're interested in getting your altar going, that would be the first ones that I would put on your table and pray for them. You know, acknowledge their visit. They were there to visit you and probably see you before they raise up. And once you pray at your table, they might come to you in your dreams. They might have messages for you. So
do you have to wait? You know, like for example, my father passed away last year, and we kind of waited to create an ancestral altar for him for about a year. Is there any need to wait after somebody has passed?
My personal, it's like I said in the thing, there's no correct way or wrong way. It's just how you feel it. If you feel that you have to pray for your father, your grandfather, pray for them. You know, that's simple. There is no wrong and right way. Okay, there's just your way, what feels good for you.
She has pictures also of the grandparents.
Yes, if you have pictures of your grandparents, you put them at the table if you want.
I don't see any other questions.
No? Thank you so much for coming to the class. I wish I could see you all face to face. Maybe someday, that would be awesome. And have an amazing week, amazing month. For the one that lost her parents, I pray for them that they might find the light and be elevated. And see you next time.
Okay.